Hi, it's Michael. Now it's the end of the riding season almost, and my BMW F750GS is now about 7 months old and has about 5,600 kilometers on it. So how has it been? I've done a review of this bike and posted it on my YouTube channel, and that was shortly after purchasing it. So now that I've become more intimate with the bike, got to know it better, how is it? Now my style of riding is relaxed. I don't really speed, and I get a kick out of the nature and the flying field. And also there are some riders that seem to be capable of taking a Goldwing up and down an active volcano and make it look like a child's play. I'm not one of those. I am as an average rider with no extra special skills. And my previous bikes were smaller cc bikes, Honda CB300F and some scooters. So that I'm saying that to contextualize this review. Now this bike has one feature that sets it head and rabbits above all other bikes, undoubtedly, and that is it comes with a carrot holder. Does your bike come with a carrot holder? Now, for carrot lovers like myself, this is very important. Remember, a carrot a day keeps constipation away. Let's have a very quick look at the bike. It has many optional things on it. The windscreen is aftermarket windscreen, Z-Technique V-Stream, the largest size. It has LED lighting all around. It has the auxiliary lights. It has the optional hand guards. It has the aftermarket grip puppies, foam sleeves for the grips. It has the standard dash. I wasn't interested in the TFT dash, even though it looks gorgeous. Just I thought this would be more dependable, more reliable in the long run. Of course it has the built-in carrot holder, extremely important. It has the engine crash guards, and it has the optional vario cases or 3 cases, and they expand. There is a lever inside. You can flip to the other side and it rises, it expands, all 3 do. And it has the optional comfort seat, the tallest seat they offer, and it has the quick shifter optional, and the crash guards have been already mentioned, and also it has heated grips that come standard here in Canada with the bike. And that's the quick tour. The suspension is on the little bit softer side. It absorbs bumps very well. It transmits all road imperfections, but it's all very subdued, very well cushioned. So speed bumps, railway tracks, potholes, none of that is upsetting. So that part is very good. Let's keep in mind that this is a bike that costs $12,000 Canadian, and that its big brother, the 1250GS, costs $10,000 more. So I find the suspension very comfortable. Wind resistance, as in crosswind, seems to be quite good, and it tracks quite well even in crosswinds. And at one point I rode at the edge of a very severe thunderstorm that came over Toronto. I was returning from a day trip, and it was a very strong crosswind coming in very strong gusts, and at some point I had to hug the bike to reduce my side profile, and then I had to reduce the speed and get off the highway. It was getting really dangerous, but the bike handled it quite well, and oncoming trucks don't upset it much. I can feel the blast coming off the oncoming trucks on my body, but the bikes doesn't seem to be concerned much. And engine heat. There is some heat coming from the engine, hitting on both sides, but especially hitting the left leg, the shin. If when I wear proper heavy-duty riding pants, it's not noticeable, but with jeans or some lighter pants, when it's hot summer, it's quite noticeable heat, and so that's something to take into consideration. The engine has plenty of power and pull, and merging on the highways is easy. Passing on the highways or any roads is very easy. It just it's not, the engine doesn't have an instant response. It takes a little time to spin up, and so if you're looking for a bike that will set your adrenals on fire and give you that the rush, this may not be the bike for you. But make no mistakes, this one can go plenty fast. It just takes a little time to get to that speed. The throttle is by wire, and it is very light, which I like. Just the friction of the glove is quite enough to keep it in place. No need to squeeze it much. So that's easier on the hand. And the slight disadvantage of the light throttle is that it can be very easily unintentionally moved, though it's not a big deal because the engine doesn't respond. It's not hypersensitive. It responds right away, but it doesn't respond in a strong manner. And as you can see right here, just moving the throttle back and forth makes the engine respond, but it's not a very strong response. It's taking it easy, so it's forgiving. That's probably the right word. It is very forgiving, so you don't have to worry about hitting a pothole or bump and unintentionally moving the throttle and ending up in the ditch or something. This bike has the optional quick shifter, which I find very useful and helpful, especially in the city. It reduces the number of clutch pulls dramatically. And it can be sometimes a little bit jerky. I don't mind that. My left forearm is certainly grateful for the quick shifter. And without the quick shifter, the shifts are very smooth and precise. And sometimes if I by mistake stop and leave the bike in the second gear and then I try to find the neutral, it can be sometimes a little bit tricky, but that's only occasionally. And as to the clutch pull, the clutch is not very hard. I wouldn't call it very light either. It's not bad. It's just if I practice maneuvers and I feather the clutch, then after a few minutes of doing that, my left forearm has enough and has to take a break. So it's quite decent. It's nice. My height is 186 centimeters or 6'1", and comfort and ergonomics is where this bike shines for me, except for one thing which I'll mention in a few seconds. The riding position is upright, the handlebars are wide. This allows my back and shoulders to remain straight, which I find very comfortable. The legs are maybe bent, the knees bent a little bit more than needs to be, kind of sporty riding position perhaps, but it's not bad, it's okay. So for me this bike is excellent for comfort and ergonomics, except for the low brake pedal. And I have a video about this, mentioned it. It's if you're riding in low riding boots that allow, or shoes that allow the ankle a lot of flexibility, it's not such a big deal. It gives an awkward feel. It's not very intuitive, but it's okay. But if you're riding with stiff high boots, like adventure riding boots like I do, this low brake pedal is almost a safety concern, because there are times when during a low speed turning maneuver I want to stop, and I am braking with the rear brake, and I feel that I pressed my the ball of my foot down as much as I can, and the bike is still not stopping, it's still rolling forward, and I feel like I cannot press my foot any further down, and the bike is still not stopping. So that's not very pleasant, and it is improving, and I put the brake pedal enlarger on it, which helped somewhat. So BMW, I wish they would fix this. It would go a long way in improving that part of the ergonomics. This bike with all the accessories weighs about 230 kilograms, perhaps slightly more, which is about 506 pounds, which is not light, but of course naked bike doesn't have much practicality, utility. So with the side cases and the top case empty, the bike weighs 250 kilograms or 550 pounds, or maybe slightly more. So that's not light, at least not for me. Remember, I come from a dramatically lighter bike. If you come from a Goldwing or a sport touring bike with a big 4-cylinder or 6-cylinder engine, then this would be nothing for you. But for me this is quite substantial, and my view from my experience, if you ride from a nice paved parking lot to a nice paved parking lot, taking nice paved roads, the weight is fine. But if you ride to dirt parking lots that are uneven, then the weight becomes an issue, at least in my case. It is quite inconvenient, and I've dropped it a couple of times already on uneven grounds. So 250 kilograms, 550 pounds, if it leans beyond a certain point, there is no way you can hold it up, so down it goes very quickly. And now Once you during a normal speed, the handling is light, is fine. Um, During very low speed maneuvers, when the gyroscopic effect of the wheels is not in place and you basically have to fight gravity, then that's again another matter. It's not so easy. It's the center of gravity is on the higher side. Um, so again, that's something to take into consideration. Moving it around in a parking lot, again, as long as it's a nice, smooth, level parking lot, it's fine. Putting it on the center stand is fine. Moving it around on uneven parking lots, like when I go to a forest for a hike and some of those forest parking lots, it's basically impossible by pushing. So then one has to use some kind of a strategy, power walking, or just even pulling into those parking lots. With a light bike, you can just ride in any way you want, and you can easily turn around and ride out. With this bike, you have to plan it. So you can get out easily, but that's obviously with all heavier bikes. As to being able to carry all your gear, this bike is excellent, with the BMW Vario cases giving about 90 liters of storage, plus on the pillion seat, and it's easy to tie to the grab rails for the pillion. It can take a lot of stuff, so that's fantastic. Just to quickly show you how the Vario cases work, how they get disengaged from the bike. Lift this red lever, this one, and it's gone. And to put it back, align this with this protrusion. These hooks hook here. This lever goes down, this lever goes down, and that's it. To open the cases, you press this yellow button, and it's a carnage. And it opens. Oh, the carrots. Oh well. And to close it, well, it doesn't close. Anyway, and then inside here is that lever that expands the case. Now we have to take care of the carrots. I take it to work about once a week. Otherwise, I have a Vespa GTS scooter for commuting. And I'm just returning from work, as you can see in this video. And on these kind of roads that are open and wide enough and there are no surprises, it's perfectly fine. It's actually excellent on them because it absorbs the quite bad pavement so nicely, and it can take all your work stuff, so that's good. It's just riding it downtown where there are congested streets and parked cars and the necessity of maneuvering the bike quite a lot at low speeds. I wouldn't ride it there, but of course if you're as an expert rider, then you might find it easy. On the highway, it's a mixed bag. The engine can easily handle the highway and more, but the wind protection on the standard out-of-the-box bike is very poor, and even finding a windshield that doesn't produce turbulences or some kind of a wind noise is very difficult. So it can do it well. It can do the highway mechanically. It's just comfort-wise, wind protection is not the best for longer highway riding. Road tripping on country roads is this bike's forte. As long as the roads are of decent quality, it chugs along in a leisurely manner at 80 kilometers per hour, 50 miles per hour, in the sixth gear, close to 2000 RPMs, and it just goes and goes in comfort. And the poor wind protection from the stock windshield is not an issue at those speeds. Now for road tripping on the highways, for short stretches, but not for very long. So yes, this bike has expanded my riding range when it comes to road trips compared to my previous bikes, because of the comfort, ergonomics, and the ability to haul all the gear. So that part is fantastic. I enjoy riding on dirt roads, such as the one you can see here in this video. Though I don't do technical off-roading, I have no skills for that. So this is about what suits me. And these roads connect rural communities. So they are lightly traveled by cars, and they offer very nice nature and very nice scenery. And the front wheel is 19 inches, so that's nice. It came with the Michelin Anaki 3 tires, which are supposed to be 90% road, 10% dirt. They do okay on dirt. They howl on pavement around 80 kilometers per hour, 50 miles per hour, which is not very inspirational. And my bike came with the optional enduro mode, which is supposed to help if you have road tires and you go off-road. Though BMW doesn't bother mentioning exactly how it helps. So I do use the enduro mode. For technical off-roading, this bike is too heavy and cumbersome in my view, and even when one watches YouTube channels of others who travel to real off-road scenarios, they don't really use heavy bikes like this. They usually have something lighter, nimbler, and much easier to pick up, to lift. The engine is pretty loud, and if you have good hearing, as I do, and you're standing next to the bike while it's idling with the helmet off, it's quite loud, and the startup noise is also fairly loud. I have a video about it, measuring the sound levels. The cost of service, it went through the first service thing at 1000 kilometers or 600 miles, and that was almost $500 Canadian, including taxes. So not cheap. Of course, it's a BMW, so it's not going to be cheap. By the way, there are two small scuff marks on the plastic that covers the gas tank, the blue plastic, and I've been told that to replace that plastic cover would be $600. Ouch. The fuel consumption, the computer shows about 4.5 liters per 100 kilometers, which is about 54 miles per gallon, which is actually not bad. It's a fairly powerful engine, and It has only about 1.2 liters of more gas consumption than my previous 286cc bike, so no complaint there. The only thing is that if you follow the computer, what it shows you how to shift, there is a little up arrow that shows you when to shift. It's trying to keep everything as close to 2000 RPMs as possible, which of course is good for fuel consumption, but not so good for acceleration. So if you want a quick acceleration while it's doing 2000 RPM, it's not going to happen. And that's about it for this review. Thanks for watching, and if you have any questions or comments, please leave them below the video. Thanks again, and may you enjoy your riding.